Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Hi, let me know if you can hear me. Um, and let me know where you're joining from. Maipelo, can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you, Dr. Luisa.
Okay, it's a little low. I cannot hear you. All right, just one
You can't
second.
hear me?
Let's try to work on the volume. Can you hear me, Maipelo? Hello?
I can hear you perfectly. Perfectly.
Wonderful. Okay, sounds great. Wonderful. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you're joining us from. It is the SAWUUBOONAA Show. Welcome. And thank you so much for making out the time to be here. I cannot see your name if you do not come into the box and let me know your name, your city, your country, wherever that you're representing. It's the Easter weekend, the resurrection weekend. So I believe it's a special time to be on the show. If it is your very first time, you're definitely in the right place. I first of all have to apologize for some technical difficulties that we had for a couple of minutes. I think the devil was just trying to show off. I was like, are you serious? We're not doing this anymore, devil. Come on. We have winners in the house. So what are you even doing? So we had a system not working at some point, but we're here. And I'm so excited that we're here. It is working out pretty well for us. Everything is going to go absolutely well. Thank you so much for making out the time. I'm still trying to get used to the computer and everything that I'm using. I'm sorry, I'm sitting in front of three systems here. Thank God, and give a shout out to my husband who was able to help out with this because I was about to freak out, but he said, calm down. So we're going to get it sorted. But now that's the problem. When people are tech savvy, I'm telling you now, I have three systems. I don't even know how it works. Three computers sitting in front of me. I've never used them before, but I'm trying to make it work. So, ladies, if you see me look around, it's because I'm trying to figure out which one to serve you at what time. But because we don't want to have that problem again, that's why we had to ensure that we have enough systems in place. So, thank you so much for making out the time to be here. It's going to be an amazing time. And of course, you will not regret that you spent your morning or afternoon with us. Thank you. I can see comments, but I'm not seeing the names yet. Dr. IJ is here. Wonderful. What a blessing. Thank you so much, sis, from Canada. It's awesome to have you in the house. Yes. The comments, I'm not seeing where you guys are joining us from. Maybe you have to log into StreamYard so that we can see your username. So I don't know. Is it for me? What am I doing wrong? Please forgive me. I'm trying to learn. All right. So thank you. If it's your first time of joining us, it's a SAWUUBOONAA show. And like the name, it's a Zulu word that means I see you, I honor you, I celebrate you. This month, of course, is the Women's History Month. So if you don't even know that it's a Women's History Month, I don't know where you've been, but we've been celebrating the women from the 1st of March. We also went to the CSW, which was the UN Women's Conference, and all over the world on social media everywhere. It is a month that is dedicated for the women. And we've done so much tremendous work by God's grace. If you've not been part of this, you can, of course, follow us on social media to see the work that we do. And that really, what inspired us to get started with these sessions or this show is because I find that the African woman has been left at the backbench. I mean, people still talk about the African woman as being in the kitchen. I don't know about you, but I was never in the kitchen. Like, who is in the kitchen? Where are they? Where are they from? Because my sisters are not in the kitchen, right? Listen, we don't belong there. So nobody really talks about what we do. Nobody creates the right image about the African woman and her role in the development of Africa. And that really inspired our creating this platform. I remember in 2021, when we were celebrating the Pan African Women's Day. And I remember so well that the theme was celebrating our past heroes. That really triggered me. I thought, excuse me, we've talked enough about the Nana Santawas and the Queen Aminas I'm not saying they didn't do amazing work, but what about my pillow of today? Right? Somebody has talked about my pillow. We've said enough about women who were here 200, 300, 400 years ago. Wonderful. But what about those who are currently serving? If we do not encourage them, if we do not give them a hug, they can't be strengthened. They won't have the courage to keep doing it. And that's what inspired our starting up this platform. It's been amazing. We have brought leaders and VIPs from different parts of the world. And today we took a dive straight to Botswana and of course to Zambia, because we have Honorable Annie that will be joining us later. So these sessions are brought to you by Women Who Win Africa, and maybe you're new as well here. Women Who Win Africa is a platform that empowers the African woman to build her leadership capacity in order for her to drive meaningful change, and then of course lead legacies that outlive them. When we think about legacies, sometimes we think about death. No, in Women Who Win Africa, legacies has to begin from when you are alive. So how can you do that? Is by being intentional, right? To develop yourself, to step out to the front line, to just say that, you know what? Transformation, change in my country. I'm right here. I'm going to do it. And so that's what we do in Women Who Win Africa. We have created a platform that empowers, equips, educates, and engages the African woman. So if you're an African woman and you're still feeling like you've been out of the box, like nobody's talking to you, well, stop by, say hello. We're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on all the great places. We have a website, www.womenwhowinafrica.com, and come by and say hello. And of course, we will be happy to work with you. So we're going to jump right into the show of today, especially that we did not start on time. So hello, my sister, Maipelo. It's good to see you again. Can you hear me, Maipelo? Hi.
Hi. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes, I think your network. Can you hear me? Your network is giving us problems. I can hardly hear you.
Mine.
Could it be me? I hope not.
I could hear you. Yes. I think you're back. You had actually just kind of zoomed off. But
Okay.
You're back now.
Okay. So if my network messes up again, trust me, guys, you guys will have to smack me. I'm serious. That's just gonna be too much. So it's so good to see you here, Maipelo. Welcome right into the show. Welcome, powerful woman. Welcome, and thank you so much for all the work that you are doing in Botswana and of course globally. So we're just going to dive right into the show. And my first question for you, we try to make it chitty chatty, so it's just pretty easy and just fun. I think that's what our women resonate and connect with. So I think my first question for you would be, Maipelo, what inspired your journey to be this powerful woman? I want to know, like, how did you get here? How did you get here just being so audacious and just being so influential and just being so powerful and outspoken and just going for it? What inspired your becoming the Maipelo of today? Over to you.
Ooh, Dr. L. What a spirited and intimidating welcoming. I hope I can live up to everything that you have just described me as. But first thing today, I'd like to take this, yes, technical difficulties I can see. But I'd like to just take a brief moment to, for those that don't know, right now Botswana is a nation in mourning. On Thursday, we woke up to the sad news that 45 Botswana who are en route to Zion Church, ZCC Church in South Africa, they perished in a very tragic freak bus accident, 45. It has never happened in the history of our nation. So it's a very difficult and sad period for us right now. I would like to take a moment to please, if may, Dr. Louisa, just observe a moment of silence for those that have lost their lives and for their loved ones.
Absolutely. I'm so sorry about that.
Yes. Amen. Well, all is not lost. In the midst of this freak accident that just took place, an 8-year-old survived. An 8-year-old survived. The bus was completely burned to ashes. I still don't know how that child survived. We can only attribute it to the grace of God. She's 8 years old. I have a teaching on that, on why I believe it's so symbolic that God spared the life of an 8-year-old. I believe it symbolizes us as a nation, that this is new beginning. But it's something that really touched me to the deepest core of my being. So I really had to mention, I wish I could be more excited. I am excited to be on the show, but it's just a very somber moment for us as a nation. But yes, here we are today. To get to your question, how did I get here? First things, I can't hear you. Say that again. Audio. 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 Down here. You've muted.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, you are. Yes, I can. You unmute.
Okay. Can you see me?
I can see and I can hear you perfectly now.
Okay, wonderful. All right, sounds good.
Okay. So let me start. Yeah, let me take it from the top. First thing I need to discuss is that I have never even in the imagination thought that I would be here for public office. I tell people that all the time. In fact, some of my classmates watching when I was in university, they're probably laughing like, what? But you want to hear the irony? I actually studied politics. I studied international studies, and I always used to boldly declare in class that, oh, please, I'm not going to run for public office. You know, I'm going to advise these ones that are sitting on these seats. I'm going to be telling them what to do and. But yes, fast forward 2024, here we are. But you know, Dr. Louisa and all the beautiful women, actually, I didn't give a shout out to you. I just want to take this moment, Louisa, daily, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, to give you appreciation and thanks, my beautiful sister, for your continued drive to empower women in Africa and the diaspora. You are just an incredible human being. You put your money where your mouth is. You literally sacrifice. There's an echo. But yes, I just wanted to take this moment to thank you, Dr. Louisa, for your sacrifice that you continue to make for us. And to all the beautiful women that are logged onto this show today, the world over, those who are obviously also watch your stage, I honor you all. You're in my heart, and I pray for you to encounter joy that will remind you that there is so much beauty in this world that is still left for you to behold. God is still crafting your story. You matter. Africa needs you, and the world needs you. With that being said, you asked me a very critical question. How did I get here? And I just explained to you momentarily before I was so rude without even just greeting the audience. I started this journey to run for office not because I wanted to. I didn't pursue politics. That is something that I need to clarify. I didn't pursue politics. Politics pursued me. I explained that yes, I did study politics, but it was not my intention to actually run for public office. That was like something I had made very clear from onset in the classroom. But God always has his plans. The Bible says we may the dice, but the Lord fall. So how it all really truly began for 2009. A lot of Africans will be familiar with this name, Julius Malema. So in 2009, I get a call from my agent at the time. I used to do photographic modeling. I went to school in South Africa, Monash. And like I said, I was studying international relations. I get a call from my agent. I used to do photographic modeling. She calls me and says, "Hey, wait a minute. You're studying politics, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." So she says, "Well, there's this politician who I am coordinating his event, and I thought maybe you could come and, you could help me host." I'm like, no, him at the time, and it's like, well, I needed the money. I was a student and every penny counts. So I'm like, okay, no, sure, I'll be there. Can I invite somebody to come and help me host? Picked up the call. My best friend in Nigeria, and shout out to Nigeria. I've got such support in Nigeria, Dr. Louisa. Like my path with Nigerians, it traces way back from my school days. But yes, I gave her a call and said, "Look, you can make a bit of extra money. Let's go and help host. There's some politician." She didn't disclose his name. There's some politician who's hosting a housewarming. Yes, it was a housewarming, 2009. I think an hour before we're supposed to leave, she gives me an excuse. But long story short, I went. I needed the money. It was my final year of school, and I thought, look, I could network, and you never know where it's going to take me. But I went to that party. He was hosting a housewarming. And, I was just there chatting, and maybe let me not throw in some of these names, but these are people, very influential people in the political space in South Africa. We had a chat with them. There was like different people from different walks of life. And, one of them asked me while we were in conversation and said, "So what do you do?" So I tell them, "Well, I go to Monash." They're like, you're a student? You don't look or sound like a student. So I'm like, "I'm not a student, okay? I'm an academic." I was just trying to make it sound better because there were all these important people. So I'm not a student, I'm an academic. But yes, so we had that. It was fun. I spoke, I listened, I made some contacts. And I think a couple of weeks later from that party, I got a call from his now vice president, which is Floyd Shivambu. He invited me for dinner, and I accepted the invitation. We went out for dinner with Floyd. He was with the then ANC Youth League Secretary General, who's now passed, Cindy Somagaka. May his soul rest in eternal peace. But we spoke politics, we spoke religion. And that was also something that I emphasized to them, that no, yes, much as I'm studying politics, I will never get into this. But Dr. Louisa, my path literally almost always found me around political figures, either those that are directly in government and politics, or like the sons and daughters of those that are in the sphere of governance. It wasn't clicking at the time that this is God saying, "Hey, wake up, this is the direction that I'd like you to take." But I must emphasize that I don't see myself as a politician per se. I don't think I am. But when you look at the scriptures, it talks about how, "And the government shall be upon his shoulders." the government. So I tend to emphasize that what I am pursuing is governance. We can sit and talk and complain about our leaders in Africa. What ought to change are the systems that are very easy when you're outside and watching things externally and criticize. If we do not stand up like Esther for a time such as this, it is just going to continue and it's a revolving door, you know. So that is where I am. All it got for me basically being around political figures behind the scenes, advising in some instances is kind of what pushed me in the direction that I am today. But as we have the discussion further, you'll kind of understand how it got to, okay, 2024, this is it, I'm raising my hand.
I love it. I think that is such a powerful story, to be honest. You know, I love that when you said that politics found you. You know, I think that is such a powerful tool. You have to share that even more. You might not know how powerful that statement is. I have been opportune to work with several women in politics by God's grace. And I remember a lady who went into politics and ran for office in Nigeria because somebody found her on Facebook and decided to buy her a farm. She couldn't afford the farm, but because of all the advocacies that she's been doing on Facebook, someone found her worthy and decided to sponsor, you know, her political career. Can you hear me, Maipelo?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
So I think that that is such a powerful tool, and you know, I would love to have that. We're putting together a book, of course, which is Closing the Gap. You know, yes, Dr. I just says, indeed, MP is true to good governance. Absolutely. Dr. Ida, your message came in private chat, but that is so powerful. And I want to really encourage you more, Maipelo, because I would buy into someone like you who wasn't set out to go for the fame, who wasn't set out to go for the noise, but stepped in when it was the right time. And people's belief in you, and when you knew that you had a part to play, that's when you stepped in. I think it would be a lot easier for us to build trust with someone like you. So I want to really encourage you, because you know, you kind of said it really lightly, but I'm not sure you understand how powerful that statement is. Because a lot of times when people see women in politics, or you know, a lot of times people ask questions like, what is she doing here? Why is she here? Why does she think she has to run? Why does she think she's the right person? But you have proven us wrong at this time. And thank you so much for sharing that, because I think that's going to inspire a whole lot of people to hear that. You can actually begin from somewhere. It's all about making up your mind to say yes. You know, and so many women kind of struggle, you know, on the sidelines. It's like, can I go? Can I not go? Am I the right person? Would it, you know, would I be a good fit? No, that's not the point. Nobody's talking about good or bad. We're talking about being ready to say yes. And that's what Maipelo did at this point. She was able to step in and say yes. Well, thank you so much, everyone who is joining us. Coach Kemi, it's great to have you. Ellen, I'm so excited to see you here. Dr. Rosita, it's good to have you from LA. Oh, Dr. Chineme, it's good to have you here, my sister. I'm so excited that you made out time to be here. Guys, if I haven't mentioned your name, it's because I've probably not seen you on the screen, but you know, I can see people joining from LinkedIn. Please do me a favor to comment in the box, because that's going to help me to give you a shout out as the queen that you are, because African women are known as queens, right? So when I hear people talk about women being in the kitchen, I'm like, no, in Africa, we're queens. Okay, we are queens. That's what we've been. And that's the identity that every one of us should be able to embrace, because it begins from your identity. It begins from the image of yourself, right? You cannot outgrow your personal image. You just cannot. If you think you're right, you're right, and that's it. That's the level in which you're going to be operating at. But if you think that you're an eagle, you're right too, because that's the level at which you're going to be performing. So you can never ever outperform your personal image. So who do you think you are? How do you see yourself? How great do you think you are? How much do you celebrate you? And sometimes it might not have come with you, but you can begin to do these things like with affirmations, being around the right people, even learning and developing yourself will move you from point A to point B. Well, thank you so much for making out the time to be here. And please bring in the questions that you might have for our guest. It's an amazing time here. This is the SAWUUBOONAA show, like I informed you. And we're going to be taking a deep dive into Maipelo's life. She's such an amazing lady. Listen, I don't want to blow things up about Maipelo. I want her to be able to share it about herself. But, one of the things about her is that she's very graceful, and it's so important. Presence is such a powerful tool when it comes to women in leadership, because just because people have taken it as a joke for so long, it's good for you to show up in rooms like God sent you there, right? There's no mistake. Don't make a mess. If you got to step into a room, step into the room like God sent you there, and step into the room with confidence. Step into the room knowing what your agenda is, what you're about to drive, what your message is. And that's what we do in Women Who Win Africa. I hang around with women who are winners, and just doing great work in their country. So back to you, Maipelo, and thank you so much for sharing that. Now, I want to get deep into the journey. A lot of times, with African women, we've dealt with struggles,
Yes.
right? And that is what has discouraged a lot of people from running for office. So sometimes the struggles could be personal struggles. Sometimes the struggles could be during your political journey, right? So what kind of, and I know trust me, it's not a drive in the park, because you make it so glamorous, of course, because of who you are and your personality. But I can imagine how many people might have tried to push back at you the minute you said you were going to run. I mean, I can imagine people who went to school with you like, what? Maipelo, is she kidding? I know Maipelo, we went to school together. What does she have to say? So what kind of challenge did you face or are currently facing just because you said yes to the call? Over to you, Maipelo. I think the network for Maipelo is really bad. Maipelo, can you hear me? The network is really bad for Maipelo. Hello, you're frozen. Can you hear me, my sister?
Hi, you're back. You completed.
Did you hear the question, or do I go on it again, please?
Please do. I didn't hear the question, but on my end, everything seems to be okay. But please, my apologies. Could you ask the
That's
question
fine.
again?
Yes. So my question was, I said, it is great that you stepped up to run for office. And a lot of times the things that discourages women are the different challenges that they face. Sometimes it could be personal challenges, and sometimes it could be challenge on your political journey. So which of them have you experienced, and could you share how easy or how difficult has it been since when you stepped out to run? Over to you.
Okay, thank you for that question. Phew. Yeah, the moment I said I am doing this, literally all hell broke loose. Literally. But God is faithful. I'm still here. I've got no intention of backing down. But the first thing I would like to share with you, even before I do where I am now, can I kind of start with my thought process so you have a better understanding how I got to where I
Yes,
am today at this
absolutely.
point in time? So I would like to quote Revelations chapter 17. I know this is going to go out to a wide audience. You always tell people that, in Arab nations, you cannot even dream of running for office without, ascribing to Islam, because that's the religion that's predominantly in the Arab nations. They love Muhammad loudly and proudly, and as a Christian, the same should apply to us. So please, may I be permitted to quote from Revelations chapter 17?
Do your thing. Absolutely.
Okay, so Revelations chapter 17, Dr. Louisa, describes a harlot who sits on a beast with 7 heads, right? Okay, if you don't take my word, you can go back and check. But yes, Revelations chapter 17 talks about that. And I am with the Christian community that hold the school of thought that the 7 heads represent or coincide with any nation's 7 main pillars of culture or society. That's usually termed like the 7 mountains mandate or the 7 spheres of influence. That, of course, the mountain of religion, the mountain of government, the mountain of art, the mountain of family, and I think education is the 7th one. So this demonic entity that is described in chapter 17 as the harlot who sits on the beast with the 7 heads obviously must be displaced from the tops of those mountains or the seats of power, which are the sense that I just described, in arts and entertainment, in government / politics, economy, that's business, etc., etc. So it is a job as the body of Christ to occupy those high places of government, arts and entertainment, etc. Whichever sphere you belong to, mainly somebody whose metron or sphere of influence is government. I know that that's one of the primary calls to women within that sphere, but I also know that it's broad. You also influence women in business, in health, which is like the family mountain and so forth. So, like I said, it is our job as the body of Christ to sit on those seats of power until I come. That's what finished business earth to high until Jesus comes. A lot of Christians, we just want to wait for him to come, his second coming, the sweet by. And he said, occupy until I come. Like I said, our roles are obviously different and we are to different spheres. I believe my primary or sphere that I operate or I'm called to is that of government, which is why I subsequently decided to run for public office. I mentioned earlier on in the show that I'm not a politician per se, and my path has been somewhat unique answering this call. I didn't tell anybody, by the way, Dr. Louisa, when I took this decision, I shut my family out, I shut my partner out, and I went into a time of consecration because everything that I was trying to pursue at the time, I didn't feel fulfilled. So, growing up, there's this joke. My late grandmother always used to say, it's on dialect. She was saying, it's like I always had this thing of just talking back. So she always used it when you translate English, it's saying, you're the God, woman actually prophesy over my future. So, but nonetheless, when I get to take this task of running for office, I didn't my family. Anybody to come and tell me that, no, but you can't do that. That's not you as a family, do this, do that. It needed to be a decision that I make on my own with God. So I shut everybody out. I shut family out. In fact, was just speculation in the media and so I want to make that one abundantly clear that this journey that I took on my own, and I didn't consult anybody. I was prepared to lose everything and everyone in the process, saying yes to God in some instances. So I've lost my train of thought, but I think I'm trying to bring you in mind. I knew that our goal was to obviously occupy these spheres of influence. You know, you start somewhere. You start somewhere. You know, you have this thing of always saying that do something, you know, be part of a political party. You can start serving there. And that was initially what I wanted to do. I kind of like as, you know, trying to, well, let me join and see what happens. But because this was the opportunity for me, I found myself literally having to be at the forefront. But I can't say about that yet because we are about 3 weeks away from that hurdle first of primary and yes, at the should be able to say or not.
Maipelo, your connection is really bad.
Not
Can
to
you
lose.
hear me?
Like,
Can you hear me, Maipelo? Okay. I'm so sorry, ladies. Her connection is really poor. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's actually me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can
Yeah, your connection
see
was.
you
We could
perfectly.
hear what you were saying. Yeah, your connection is frozen.
Hi, I'm
Um,
back.
okay. Welcome back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Yes. Your connection was kind of in and out. So we missed you. The last bit of it.
The last bit of it, I was basically trying to explain that when I said yes, all hell broke loose. I took a decision. I think the tail end of what I'm trying to get at is this was a decision that I made on my own. I did not consult my because I was going to be very deliberate and deal ruthlessly.
Hey, I'm not sure what is
I can
happening
see,
right now.
like, I can,
Okay.
but I think we're back.
Yeah, coming from your end, it's okay. It happens. So it's just a bit you talked about, all hell broke loose when you tried to run for office. So that's a bit that we want to know.
Yes.
What exactly what you're experiencing, especially with family, with supporters, or with people that you thought would sponsor you? What was the experience?
Ooh, even before we get to I don't. Um, so I had I went and I had a sit down with Advocate Boko, who's obviously my leader. It's the organization that I'm running under. And I went to see him. I didn't consult anybody. And you know, he sat me down, spoke to me as a leader, as as somebody who has been in politics for a very long time, because I had known him previously, I think during his days as a lecturer at the University of Botswana. So I wanted, what is important, what I actually forgot to share is that I had been involved in a huge battle with the Red Cross in my country. I don't even think we have time to get into the details, but I have my team who was backing me as well, which is underprivileged people. Charity work, those that serve within these organizations, are people that don't have much, but they want to give off themselves because resources they don't have. But anyway, I was involved in a battle where at the secretariat aspect of the organization, they were refusing for me to run for president of the Red Cross, which is the highest decision-making personality within the organization, even though I qualified to stand for that position. So the branch that I belong to, Ganye branch, it was the page. Red Cross in the country, the elections are literally taken like national elections because it is a national society. It is not an NGO, so it's a big deal. And when I took on this task to challenge, they vetted me out of the process. This is the secretariat aspect. That's what I know. If there was other things that were taking place behind the scenes, if there were others that were involved, I don't know. All I have is hearsay. But the long and short of it is they vetted me out of the process and they couldn't prove why they did so. So I told them that I'm taking you to court because I qualify. And I did just that. They roped in like one of the biggest advocates in the country, biggest law firm in the country, an advocate. And I just brought in somebody who, it was literally a story of David and Goliath, but I prayed about it. I had a sit down with my family. They supported this, because this was about humanitarian work, which forms part of why I'm running for office, by the way. So I was involved in that in that battle, and everybody's like, oh my goodness, you're wasting your time. There is no way. You are taking on practically, it seems like, the government. I was taking on the secretariat, the people that vetted me out of the process. But because it's a national society, it was deemed as that. My conscience told me, my branch has selected me. There are all of these people that are backing me. Why do they not let me run? And if they are so sure and so confident that I'm not going to make it, let me run. But they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to take the chance. I was asking questions. Myself and my team, we felt like there was a lot of mismanagement of funds and. But I went to court. Each and every single battle in the high court, I won. I was still going to continue to win. But as time progressed, I saw that this battle at Botswana Red Cross Society, and just taking them the court route, and I keep on winning, and then they keep on, challenging that I'm going to court, depleting resources, and it's like God showed me that your remedy is like putting a bandage over a gunshot wound. You need to actually go to the root cause of why people are trying to prevent you from running from office. But long story short, this happens to do with, I did a lot of research. I happened to come across this network called AppNeft, which I'm a part of. It's basically illicit financial flows. And what they are actually doing there, or what I felt they were doing there at Botswana Red Cross Society, is so dangerous for the country, because we were gray listed at some point because of such as these, illicit financial flows and so forth. But I must disclose that I cannot prove anything beyond reasonable doubt. I called for for audits to be done. It's just such a long story and a huge mess, My running for office will be able to give me a bigger, better platform to continue that which that I started at Botswana Red Cross Society, and just my advocacy for trying to curb illicit financial flows and tax injustice on the continent. That's a huge disclaimer that I had to make, that I am. I didn't have much of a can expose at some of these organizations and so forth. Because the people that actually suffer the most, Dr. Luisa, they're the poor and vulnerable. If funds are coming out for the purposes of, like development aid, and 90% or 95% unaccounted for and remains within the secretariat, and where the funds are actually supposed to go and develop these communities, it doesn't find its way there, then we have a problem. So my lawyer was also obviously able to see everything that was taking place. First case that I won, a huge offer, afford in the media. They couldn't afford the public, pulled out from the case, and then they got in another. He's still quite a legal heavyweight, but we continued to win. I think the third interdict that I was able to do, that lawyer actually came to me and said, "How did you do that? Managed to stop or interdict elections 3 times. That's unheard of." And he congratulated me, of course, was about it. But yes, I decided to pull out of that and just take it a top notch and get to where I am. So I was initially going to run in that area. It's a village. It's where I come from. It's a home village, my home village called Ganya. I was going to run there, which is, like I said, a continuation of the battle from Red Cross. But after I had a sit down, obviously, with my lead, my Boko, he gave me advice. And obviously, when you are part of an organization and you're given advice, you either take it or you don't, But I took the advice that, no, maybe you should run in the urban area, because in the village, it could pose a bit of a challenge, But yeah, so here we are. And I was not, they didn't roll over the red carpet for me. I was met with such hostility. But the most painful part for me was the attack I got. I don't want to call out the person here, but this is a leader, she's high up. I'm trying to be very careful with my wording, because I don't want to call her out and I don't want to embarrass her, but she's a leader within the Women's League. And those are the people that are supposed to embrace me, if anything. And my goodness, the attacks that I received, I was given all kinds of names, and I was told that over my dead body, it's not going to happen. You'll be out before even we get to elections, and they would go on and on. They would throw it all over the group. I would be attacked day in and day out, and I literally had to shut down from everything. By the same token, my biggest attacks came from women, but my greatest support also came from women. So it's like an oxymoron, it's like a contradiction. And then obviously, God, when he has called you into something, he knows how to remove all of these elements if you continue to stand firm. And if your head and your heart is in the right place, you don't have to worry about losing an election. You offer yourself. It's service. Politics really is about serving people,
Yes.
But yes, I was met with great hostility. And to think that my greatest attacks maybe should have come from the ruling party, because I form part of the opposition bloc. But so far, I haven't gotten that. It was unfortunately within my very own organization that I received the biggest attacks. But like I said, Dr. Louisa, and I must disclose this, my biggest support also came from women such as yourself, even organizationally. There were those, because I kept quiet, I took a step back. There were those that said, you know what, we are going to take you on. And they took her on. There were men as well behind the scenes that were obviously pushing them to do these kind of things. But the dust has settled. We're going into primaries. I'm not backing off. And my mother, growing up, she always used to say to me, that mouth of yours is really going to get you in trouble one day. That mouth of yours is going to get you into trouble one day. And I always used to say to her, this is in my language, I'd say, no, mama, this mouth of mine is going to take me the world over. And here we are.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing such powerful story. I love the resilience there. It's so interesting. And welcome, my sister, Honorable Annie. Of course, most of you have seen the post. Honorable Annie is a mayor right in Zambia, mayor of Lufwanyama. I hope I pronounced it right, but if I didn't get it right, I will try another time. It's good to have you in the house. We've been having a conversation here with Maipelo, of course, who is an aspirant for MP in Botswana. Maipelo, she missed you at the CSW because her flight decided to come a little bit late. That's how you missed yourself. But you're all supposed to be on the same panel, but it's just you missed her.
Yeah.
So, yes, my fellow came in just a little bit later, and of course, the sessions that we had with my fellow, you had moved on to do other sessions, but it's still good to have you here, my sister. And I just want to point out about the resilience because it's important that women will know that running for office is not going to be a monkey ride. It's not going to be come take candy and go and eat chocolate. No, but the resilience is what matters. The resilience is what I want to mention. And secondly, the support that is needed, ladies. The support. It's so interesting how we came together, myself and my fellow. And that was through Advocate Boko's office, which is the president-elect for Botswana. You know what? The minute that we connected and I knew what her intentions were, let's go. That's how it's supposed to be. And I want to encourage everyone.
Yes.
You don't need to know this woman. The fact that the woman has said, I'm running for office, that's all she needs to tell you. I'm running. Listen, if you're not going to be a blessing, leave her alone. Because they need the support at that time.
Yeah.
They need the support, whether it is financial, whether it is emotional. It's difficult for them because everybody is fighting at you. Sometimes they just need love. They just need to know that somebody even cares. Because there are times that you feel so alone and you're asking yourself in the middle of the night, like, wait, my pillow, are you crazy? Why did you do this? There's sometimes that you feel alone and you need somebody to tell you that you're on the right path. You need somebody to say, you know what, my sister, I'm there with you. And that's why, we always, in Women Who Win Africa, we believe that if you're not a voice, you can be an echo. My pillow, you are the voice, but I'm going to echo your voice to amplify, to sound louder. So I want to encourage more women to do that, to hold the hands of other women, right, who are doing this. It's not easy. It's not easy. They come out looking so beautiful. Look at my sisters. They look so beautiful. But when they tell you the fight they're fighting to get on that seat, I tell you it's not easy. So we need more women to support. We need more women, not for you to come and tear the women down. We're just a handful of women who are ready to do it. So if we don't have the support of the women, what do you want us to do? So I love that you shared that, my fellow. Even from what happened with the Red Cross, but you still persevered and kept pushing because that was enough to demotivate you. That was enough to demotivate you. And maybe that was even the focus, like, hey, let's kind of frustrate her to run away. But I love that you kept pushing on, and you knew what you represented. It wasn't about politics for you. It was about good governance, especially for the less
Yes.
privileged, especially for the vulnerable ones. And I think that really touches my heart because I believe that for women leadership to be effective, it must come from a place of service. It must. And we're going to hear from my sister, Honorable Annie, with the work that she's doing, even in her place. And I see even sometimes, even her being in the US, she still loves so much her people. Every day I see her going back to her people to update them what is happening. And I said, you see, leadership, it moves from me to we. That's how it's supposed to be. That's a true leader. She
Yes.
could be here. She could have just gotten here and just be chilling at Vegas and having fun and don't care about nobody. But she's carrying her people along. In every room that she steps in, she doesn't step in as Honorable Annie. No, she steps in as the people of Lufwanyama, that she's going to be like, these are the people that I'm representing. She doesn't care about herself. And that's the same thing that Maipelo is doing. When you get into a space, it's not about Maipelo. It's about who you represent. This is what I'm doing. Botswana is in the room. Let's talk about Botswana. What can we do? What can we take transformation and support? And so that's what the show is all about. Because I find that women try to go and a little pushback, we run away because it's not going to be easy. But when you hear stories like this, it inspires even me to know that, hey, it is possible. Look at what happened in Senegal. Even though he's a guy, but at least 44-year-old becoming a president, that's like a dream. Because I mean, like if
Yes.
I mean, in Nigeria, I thank God he wasn't Nigerian because maybe in Nigeria they probably would have shot him at night. Because like what? 44-year-old, you're still a baby. Go back home. And nobody's gonna be in presidency. But now, so I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that, because we're accepting 44-year-old. I mean, look at the guy's story. He went to jail. He went to jail, but he didn't give up. He was still pushing. So that's the resilient spirit that we need to have as African women. And we're created with resilience. But sometimes we back down. And that's where we're encouraging more of us that we have to keep pushing. That's the power that we have. That's why the world is afraid of us. The world is afraid of us. Every time we see an African woman, they're afraid of us. They don't tell you, but low key, they're afraid. They said, these people are here again. And please, to love up on ourselves. Look at us in CSW. You think that we own the place. I mean, Maipelo, we were going everywhere and going crazy. And we're all from different countries. But you see the power in coming together. We are stronger together.
Yes.
You see? So
Yes.
I want to encourage more African women. Love up on yourself. Encourage each other. My sister, Honorable Annie, I'm going to Zambia because I want to go and see what is happening. Go there and sit on the floor and eat the food that she eats. It encourages and strengthens her to know that I have a sister. Oh, my sister came. My sister came to sit with me. So I can do this. It strengthens you, right? It strengthens, not just your physical strength, but even your voice. You're able to do a lot more. So thank you so much, Maipelo. That was so good. I'm just going to go to Honorable Annie because I know she's in between so many meetings today. And I'm so grateful to have you join us here, my sister. And really, the conversation is pretty nice and smooth. And we're talking about really getting to know you and the political journey. And I think what is so important to us is what inspired you to do what you're doing, to become a mayor? What inspired you? Because I know maybe if I look at a percentage of people or women who have sat on your seat, maybe it's going to be 0.000. Sometimes the zeros they don't hurt, right? But what inspired you to run for office? What has inspired you? What fuels you to keep going? Over to you, my sister.
Okay, thank you very much. Our protocols observed. The president, Madam Louisia, thank you so much for inviting me. Yes, I'm here now, but I came for the meeting, UN Women, But if you heard what Honorable Louisia was saying, because of my passion to see my district developed, I've also added other things on my program. I became mayor and I'm in the office for 2.5 years. Before that, I was a councillor in Lufwanyama. Lufwanyama, it's in the copper belt of Zambia. It's one of the richest districts in Zambia. Why do I say so? We've got emeralds. And it used to pain me to see dusty roads when our district is rich. I used to ask questions, but why is this district underdeveloped? Yet it produces the best emerald in the world. I said, no, let me join them. That's how I came into politics. Is to be a voice for the voiceless, is to see a developed Lufwanyama. I don't want to live in Lufwanyama the way I found it. No, I want to leave a mark, that there was a woman who changed the scenario. I'm the first female mayor. Before me, there were 8 or 9. All of them, they were male. So I'm telling this story, like Louisia was saying, my sister, we need to push hard. In Zambia, we have 100 districts, and they asked me how many female mayors we are. We are only 15. Out of 116, the rest are men. That shouldn't be the curse. I do brag that women, we are better leaders. Argue, or you want or you don't want to hear that. It's the truth of the matter. Why we are better is because of resilience. Like she was saying, when I want something, I want to develop my district, I'll ensure it's developed. While in the US, I'm looking for investors who can come and develop those mines. Out of 400 mines, only 2 are operational. That shouldn't be the case. I would love to have even 50 mines being operational. That will change the economic state of Lufwanyama. My youths will find employment. Even the women. I'm really passionate about women empowerment and the youths, because they are the future leaders. After we are gone, we'll give the mantle to our youths. So I'm saying, let's unite as women. Let's hold each other's hand. Me, I don't care what party this one belongs to. As long as she's a woman, I'll support her.
Yes.
I'll support her. I don't like, you're opposition, you are what? No. I'll support her. Here, I'm trying to find also opportunities for my fellow female mayors. If I can bring them, 15 of them to your conference, Honorable Louisia, I'll be fulfilled. Because I know that when they go back, it will be a bombshell.
Absolutely.
So, women, a word of encouragement. Women, we nurture children. We carry pregnancies. We are patient. We are resilient. We are better leaders. We've got all that is needed. So I'm encouraging more women. Congratulations, my sister. Go for it. MPship, go for it. Because on top there, that's where policies are made. You contribute. You will contribute. Go for it. After mayor, I'm aspiring as MP also. So I have a lot on my table. I would have loved to offload everything, but I've got so many meetings. Yeah. My sister is already calling me. Okay. I have to attend another meeting here with the Zambians in the diaspora. But I'm happy that we've spared these few minutes.
No problem. Thank you so much. And if you want to hear more from Honorable Annie, you'll have to be at the event in Kenya, because she's going to be spearheading conversations. She's going to be spearheading panel discussions. And thank you, my sister. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank
So
you.
that was just so powerful. Having, Honorable Annie here with us, even though she's so busy, and that's what leadership is about: taking responsibility. It wasn't convenient, but she jumped in to do it. Right? You can see that she's in a hotel, but she was ready to do it. Sometimes women will tell you things like, "Oh my goodness, today I'm not feeling well. Today I'm having a headache." Really? I'm having a headache too.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be easy. I remember what happened in the CSW. Sometimes we walk so much you can't even feel your feet. And people were asking me, "Oh, sending the selfies, sending the pictures and everything." If only you know what we're doing here. We have so many pictures, not even a time to. I haven't even gotten a chance to upload it because I'm still trying to recover from the CSW, because it is real stuff. It is crazy, right? But I just want to say a big thank you to you, Maipelo. And one last question for you would really be, and I love that you shared your journey and really just being authentic, because it's important. A lot of times women think that when they want to run for office, they have to go to a political school, college, or whatever. It's okay to go to an electoral colleges, but there's some things that you will never learn, like what we just had here right now. You will never learn that in an electoral college. These are true life experiences. These are our stories that we need to tell, so that when you get up to run, that is not going to be a bed of roses, but there are ways in which you can maneuver, and also know that, oh, once upon a time I met Maipelo, and because she could, I can. Because she did it, I can. Maybe I can reach out to her and ask her, at those moments that felt crazy, what did you do? Right? Instead of just giving up. Right? So I really love that you shared that, Maipelo, because we're trying to bring in so much more of that. And I was talking to you about the book project that we have, which of course, some women, knowing that because of who they are, they can be encouraged to run because of who they are. And that will encourage a lot more of us to get into service. Because right now, somebody votes for Maipelo. I'm not worried about Maipelo coming to take the money to go. Why? Because she has already been working on different projects. So she's only going to use the office to get more access to do a lot more. So let's say she was impacting 100 people. Because of the office, she'll be able to impact 100,000. That's why she's running for office. It's not because they're nice to have. It's just to be able to do more work. So my sisters at home, my question to you is, what are you doing to change the life of the person next to you? I mean, look at what Maipelo shared about her experience with the Red Cross. She was already serving in the Red Cross. And I know how those things work. It's all about giving yourself selflessly to humanity. It's not an easy process. I mean, I would love to, just kind of wake up. Like, I mean, I decided to start working out again, and my bones did not. This morning, my legs felt like it didn't belong to me, but I had to show up, right? Because this is what we said. God, we're going to do this. He said, yes, we're going to make it work. And we had to persevere and show up, right? So I just want to encourage everyone. Like, what are you doing to make the world a better place? Year in, year out, you experience the same thing. Year in, year out, you're complaining about your leader. You're cursing your president. Said, oh, how is your president? Don't mind the stupid man. Well, if you voted, the stupid man won't be there, right? No. How many of us are registered, even in a political party? Let's even begin. Have you registered in one? Are you a member? So that when it's time to vote, you can also go and vote, right? So many women, we just sit at home and we feel like politics is not for us. We say things like, oh my goodness, no, I don't like politics. Me too, I don't like. But the thing is, when when you say you don't like politics, that means that you are accepting what is not good. So the
Correct.
minute you say I don't like it, that means you've accepted what is thrown at you. And I'm not ready to accept
Mm.
what is thrown at me. We're here to change the world. So my last question for you, Maipelo, is, I just love your foundation, even as a woman of faith, because that has really come in handy at those times, when you kind of feel like you're questioning yourself, like, what's going on? Why are people dragging me? I was just living my nice, quiet life. Nobody knew my name. And now I decided to bring my name out, and people just, because there's going to be somebody who thinks you're crazy just because you decided to run for office. They don't know you. They don't know my
Mm.
fellow. They're just going to think, oh my gosh, she's crazy. I mean, who told her to run for office? But my question for you is, what fuels you? What keeps you going? What fuels you? What makes you know that you're in the right place? Even when those moments, when those thinking begins to come, I call them stinking thinking. Sometimes you just sit down, you begin to hear voices like, why are you doing this? You should be doing this.
Mm.
What keeps you going? What keeps you going, my sister? Over
Mm.
to you.
Whew, thank you so much for that question. But I would like to ride on what Honorable Annie just said. I absolutely loved the fact that she emphasized, I'm not party this, party that. I encourage women from all across the political divide. And that is who my Maipelo is as well. I feel like parties are the vehicles. You can come into legislature through the Blue Party, which is the party that I represent, or through the current governing party, which is the BDP. And I said this at the beginning of this talk that I believe I transcend beyond party lines. My calling, when God called me into this, He never told me that He's calling me into this to dislodge, say, the governing party or this president, but He simply said to me, I want you to be a voice to the voiceless. So it really came naturally for me. It's not about party lines. I transcend beyond that, and I really truly believe that I am like a bridge between the blue, the reds. There's also lime in the country, and there's also orange, I think, which is the BMD, and so on and so forth. But my heart is really towards women. Dr. Louisa, you spoke about what women are doing. What I found when we were serving within the Red Cross, I was with these women. Yes, they might not have had those degrees and so on and so forth, but these women that were known in the community. Anything that happens, if a fire in that village, if there's a fire that happens, the first respondents are these women. They would go to khotlas. Khotlas are like, how do I explain what a khotla is? But it's like these, it's like a gathering of the chiefs, just community leaders in a village.
Right.
They come and deliberate on issues of what's going on in the village. But they would be like the first respondents. They would be doing the work that councillors and members of parliament are doing. I actually encouraged them. I said, you know what, when we were deep in this Red Cross battle, I said to them, do you realize what you're doing? You're actually in governance. You know the structures. You know that it's village development community. They are part of those. They're part of the village development communities. Councillors, mayors, MPs depend on these women to give them information of what's going on in the ground. So I encouraged them. I said, why don't you run? Why don't you run for office, starting at the very least as a counselor, because that's what you're doing. But I think they needed to see me lead, come into the forefront and say, okay, you know what, I'm doing it. And then I'm really hoping that they come after me. But yes, I just had to emphasize that I love what um, Honorable Annie just emphasized that it goes beyond party lines. What we are supposed to do, irrespective of the political organization that you represent, you are supposed to come together to do policies and pass laws, all to benefit your people collectively, and that's really what I'm about. But what keeps me going, Dr. Lisa, I must say, when I was going through that period where it's like I literally had an emotional shutdown, when the hate it was just very intense. I'm a very strong-willed person. I really am. But Dr. Louise, I'm not trying to throw this out there and be maybe, I don't want to sound rude, but I don't need to be doing this. I really don't. The family, the background, the relationship that I had also had to, in a way, sacrifice because I said, I am doing this for the community, for other women out there, but the most vulnerable, because I really, I really believe God has called me to uplift the most vulnerable. I always joke and say to people that God puts me in a room full of wealthy, influential people so that I can take their money and use it to benefit the most vulnerable. So what really keeps me going? One, my you have to have a revelation of why it is you're doing what you're doing. You must be rooted in Christ. I always talk about, when I was talking about the 7 spheres of influence, you can get a Christian, Dr. Louisa, who ascends to the highest office in the land of either counselor, member of parliament, or president. And if they don't, they are there. They're just going to be like the same crowd. You're not going to be able to tell the difference between them and somebody who's a non-believer. So I had to literally be grounded in the faith and get the revelation that, wait a minute, Jesus said, occupy until I come. I am not the owner of the field. I am just an ambassador. He has sent me out. In the instance, then it was the Red Cross. Now, obviously, I'm evolving into running for public office. And should I make it, that is the field that he wants me to tend to. So I want to be able to look at my creator and hear, well done, you good and faithful servant. So it's not my stuff, which is why at Red Cross, literally, I would have sleepless nights. Like, I would know that a lot of money is coming in, but what is going on? Where is this money going to? Most people say, keep quiet. The intelligence services are going after you. It's a huge, some of the things I can't even disclose publicly on this platform. There will come a point in time when I'm able to do so. But literally, in some instances, my life was at stake, but here we are. When you are convicted, when you know that you are a woman like Deborah, I emphasize to the women around me that we are Deborahs. God has called us for a time such as this. Who was Deborah? Deborah was the only woman in the Bible who rose to that affluent position. Right now, it would be president or prime minister, etc. But they were called judges then. It says, and Deborah, she was a prophetess, the wife of Lepidoth. She was a judge. It finds her in 3 different aspects. But the first point of departure is the Bible defines her as a prophetess. That is her spiritual authority, a spiritual stance. So it's very important, even before you begin any project or assignment, you must be rooted in whatever religion that you believe in. I obviously ascribe to the Christian faith. And then it goes on to describe her as the wife of Lepidoth. I was listening to you joke and say, who wants to be in the kitchen? I'm not going to be in the kitchen. But it defines her as the wife of Lepidoth maker as well. She does go to the kitchen and cook for her husband and do all the stuff that a woman is supposed to be in the home. And the third definition of her is that of a judge. So that in essence is God, family, and country. So that pretty much is what really keeps me grounded. The fact that I believe that God has called me into this space for such a time as this. God has put us, my family supports me best as they can. I'm not going to lie and say they are elated and happy and want me to run, but it's like, you know what? You're old. We can't get you to do what we want you to do or what we thought was your path. So I still have a family that love me, even though I'm the black sheep of the family right now. They won't get it now, but later they will. And the network that God has connected me in the past. I spoke about how before I got the revelation that I actually should run, I had a lot of women that were already in this sphere of governance that I was connected to. There's another woman as well called Dr. Lickfield Chabalala, anti-apartheid activist. She's a woman that when I told her, this is what I'm doing, she's like, you're only getting it now, baby, 10 years later. So I have her as well as a support structure. And of course, you guys, Dr. IJ, I'm going to call them all out, Adrian, and, Debs. Like, you're right. CSW was insane. I never come across women that don't sleep like you women. And I believe that, God knows the kind of energy I'm going to need. So what he tends to do is he'll put you around people that he knows, okay, get used to 4 hours of sleep and 20 hours of work, which is literally what was taking place in New York. I came with my 7-inch heels, because I'm such a lady. I'm such a chick. I believe that women can wear all of these different hats. You can be whatever you want to be outside of the home. In fact, I advocate for that. I believe that, we need to intensify investment in women's human capital. We need to encourage women to work out of the home, etc. So we can actually do. We can be wives, we can be mothers, we can be political figures, we can be entrepreneurs, and New York was a very good place for me to say, okay, no, now you're in it. I think the heels obviously had to go off, and I came in with my 7-inch heels and went out with my sneakers, which I don't have many of them, but I'm investing in that. So yes, faith keeps me grounded, a good support structure of women such as yourselves. And God knew that you guys are exactly what I need for the next step of the journey. So thank you to all of you. You know who you are behind the scenes. We've got Dr. IJ, we've got you, Dr. Louisa, we've got Adrian, we've got Debs, and etc. Others that, I will name at a later stage.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Structure.
Yes, thank you for sharing. Some of you might have seen my post, or if you're just joining us for the first time, it's the SAWUUBOONAA show. I don't know where you've been, but you're a little bit late to the party, but you can watch the replay. It's been great contents and, knowledge that has been shared here by my sister Maipelo from Botswana, who is an upcoming MP. Yes, we're speaking to existence. We don't have time to be doing the Aspirant thing. So she's coming into office and going to be doing amazing and powerful work. And then, of course, we also had Honorable Annie, who was the mayor in Zambia, who has shared about their professional journey and why we should have a lot more women jump into the front line just to do it. I remember that sharing my posts, earlier on this morning and talking about coming in to meet a star. You will agree with me that these women are superstars. They are. They're just amazing. Look at the work that Maipelo had been doing through, the Red Cross. And I didn't even know about the work she was doing with the Red Cross. But there was something about this lady that she just radiates from inside, and her love for people, her love for humanity. That doesn't just come. It's not something you're going to pick up in the grocery store. It comes from within. It comes from a certain level of knowing of who I am and knowing your why, knowing your purpose, and really living in it and just doing it. It's beautiful to see. And I loved when you shared, my pillow about how you don't have to be doing this. And it just kind of reminds me of the story of Jesus. And I just keep joking around and said, Jesus is my guy. That's the language that Nigerians use. Said, my guy, who's your guy? And I said, Jesus is my guy because he didn't need to die, right? Why should he be dying? Hello. I mean, if some of us were Jesus, we would have had an argument with God. Like, hello, excuse me, you can't give me all this power and ask me to die. You can't let these people drag me on the floor. And he would have taken a different turn. But it required humility. It required him knowing why he was here, what he was called to do. He went through all the blaspheming. He went through all the betrayal. I mean, look at Judas. Like, are you serious, Judas? Really? Like trying to measure up who Jesus was and his worth and his value with how much money, right? So it's just interesting to see because, even as people of faith, I want us to take the time this period, to reflect. Because, I mean, my fellow, look at yourself, even in the story of the resurrection. Look at that. You talked about times when you just felt like you wanted to just kind of, let go, but you remembered the three things that kept you going. And every time that you remembered those three things that kept you going, you knew it wasn't about you. You knew it was about something greater than you. It wasn't about whether my pillow liked it or not. It wasn't about, when we look at the story of Jesus, it wasn't like, it said, oh, his clothes were taken from him. He was dragged on the floor. Nobody cared, even if we're going to show his nudity. I mean, these people made so much of a jest of him, right? Putting a crown on him and giving him a feeble plant to hold. A lot of disrespect, right? And that's something that we will all in our journey. I'm telling you, your journey to the top, your journey to significance is not going to be an easy ride. You're going to have people betray you. You're going to have people drag you down. You're going to have people blaspheme you. You're going to have people torture you. You're going to have people want to kill you. I was reading the story because, every single year I go back to read the story because I don't know if you're like me, but every time that I read back the story in Matthew, I see things that seem like, wait, did somebody revise the Bible? Because I didn't even see this part. And I noticed something this time about how he asked for water. And the Bible says that he was given something which was wine mixed with gall. How can you mix wine with bitterness and give someone is asking for water? But that was like a reality check for me because sometimes the people who are beside you, my sister, they might be giving you the same kind of thing that was given to Jesus. You have to be intentional about building relationships. You have to be intentional about being in the right spaces. You have to be intentional about knowing who you are and whose you are and what your assignment, your why, your purpose. It's very important. So that when you ask for water and Sister Mary shows up with wine and gall, you're like, sis, not today. Not today. I know why I'm here. Not today. I know what I'm called for. Not today. It's not about me, but it's for something greater. So I want to say a big thank you to you, my pillow, for really getting up to show that it is possible. And of course, I am clapping for you 24/7 and just looking forward to when we're going to have a pre-dance in Kenya, and then we're going to have another dance in Botswana because it's going to be dance of winning. And if you're just watching this, I want to encourage you that even you're in Botswana, we have so many Botswanans in our community. Please look out for my pillow. Watch out, watch out. That's the star coming. And you need to support her. You need to work with her. You need to, even when you see her flyers, we'll be sharing her flyers. You need to repost it. You need to send her a message. You need to say something good to her. Just let her know that, you know what, we're in the same community. My pillow, we love you and we're here for you. She just wants to hear that. She needs to hear that. So that when the people around her are offering her the glass of wine and gall, she's like, Sister Mary, take it home. I have my sisters. my African sisters who are standing by me. And even if one person does not support me, it doesn't matter because I have millions of other people supporting me. It was great spending time with you, my fellow. It was so awesome. Thank you so much for making out the time during your Easter weekend to be here with us and sharing great knowledge with us. It was really good. I mean, your story inspires me to even do better. Just knowing that it is possible and staying on it and just keep grinding. And I believe that we're going to bring you back on the show as soon as the primaries is done, and we will continue the conversation. And I want to say a big thank you again to you for even using our platform to share a lot more about yourself. It's such a beautiful person that you are, and a lot more people need to get to know that. And, need to get to see you beyond my pillow, but see you beyond and just see the amazing work that you are about. And I believe that your leaders, also from your parties, are very proud to have you because they know that you are an asset, and that's why they would continue to encourage you to do even more. So thank you, my sister, and good luck on your endeavors. Good luck as you continue with the primaries, and we're looking forward to have you here. So for you at home, if you haven't heard about the conference, I don't know where you've been. We're starting up officially the campaign for our conference on April the 1st. The campaign begins on April the 1st. It's going to be everywhere. We're going to be talking about it. We want to have you in the room. The theme for the Audacity, African Audacity Women's Conference is closing the gender gap in nation building. And we'll continue the conversation. And that's what we're doing here on the show. We'll continue in person. You'll be able to connect with these amazing ladies. I mean, I can imagine if it was in Kenya now, you'd be able to give my pillow a hug, right? But come to Kenya, you would hear my pillow share even a lot more about what she's doing. Other leaders, you heard our mayor, they're all coming from different countries in Africa. It's going to be mind blowing. I mean, even till today, we're considering to change our location because the interest that we've had from the CSW, even without us starting up the campaign, is just humbling. And I think that it is a conversation that people have been looking forward to. So you're going to have heads of states in the room, you're going to have first ladies in the room, you're going to have MPs, senators, mayors, everyone is going to be in the room. So if you've ever imagined whether you could do it, if you've ever imagined whether this is the right time for you to run for office, if you've ever imagined whether you could serve in your own space, and it's not only going to be about politics, we're going to have conversations for women in entrepreneurship, women in tech. We had Dr. Chineme, who was here before with us, and we're bringing in women in the medical space. Yes, there's a lot of gap that exists there. And so this conversation is going to be amazing. We're going to be celebrating women. We're going to be restoring the art of honor by giving out awards to women who are doing amazing work. So all of those things, everything will be coming out. And please pay attention and stay glued to our website, stay glued to our Facebook page and community, so that if you have this amazing woman who's doing great work in your country, you can come in and just nominate that person. Why not? It doesn't matter who it is, especially people in the grassroots level, the voiceless, are those that I really want to hear about and bring them up to encourage them and give them a pat on the back that, hey, sis, we see what you're doing, we celebrate you, and we honor you. So please, our conference is coming up in July, from the 2nd to the 5th. And like I said, from April the 1st, you're going to see our beautiful flyer being launched. If you haven't seen it yet, those who were in CSW saw it. And I'm telling you, it's mind blowing. I'm not even bragging, but it's beautiful. And it is something that you want to be part of. And we need to be an advocate for us to, share our story and talk about it and even, introduce us to a lot more leaders in your community. We want to connect with them. It's been amazing. And I look forward to seeing you next week, Saturday, as we continue the conversation on SAWUUBOONAA. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry that we had technical difficulties at the beginning, but if you kind of lost some bits and pieces, please go back to watch it. And that's why we must have more women handling this whole tech thing, because I don't know, maybe because we have men who are running the companies, that's why the whole thing is breaking down, and the network and all that. We should have more women in the space doing it. Maybe things will run a lot better. But thank you so much, my sister, my fellow. I love you. God bless you and strengthen you to do the work ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. One parting shot.
Yes.
Can I have one parting shot?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I would just, we were just skimming the surface. There's the passion areas, obviously, that I concentrate on. Empowerment of women. I know it's like we loosely throw that around, but I actually do have a plan. But obviously, this will be discussed in Kenya more in detail. But my passion areas are that of empowerment of women, development of youth, and curbing illicit financial flows and tax injustice in Africa. I want to take this opportunity, obviously, to thank God for trusting me with such a mammoth task. All glory goes to Him. I'd like to, thank my family for just being there. They don't get it, but they're just there nonetheless. I would obviously like to thank Advocate Boko for trusting me. He really, really pushes for women to just get out there. I'd like to thank the president of our country. Dr. Luisa, Botswana now has 50% representation of permanent secretaries. I think you call them director generals in Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. But 50% representation is now women, and this has happened under this leadership. Obviously, with time, but he literally went all out. I
That is
remember when
great.
I shared with my partner that I'm running for office. He literally had a breakdown. But I was prepared. I was prepared for anything. But what I knew is I wasn't going to back off. The president came from Australia, and he did a press conference. He basically implored women. He said, "I implore women. I plead with you. Please come join politics." I remember I screen recorded that and sent to him and said, "The president doesn't seem to agree with you. He's saying that women must come and actually occupy the space." So I give the president a shout out as well in Thanksgiving that he's being intentional about pushing women into the forefront. And obviously, I'd like to thank my team, Dr. Luisa. We call ourselves Team GBN. They are not here, but I represent those that support me, but even those that don't. I love them nonetheless. So a big shout out to them as well. And thank you so much.
I
God
love it.
bless you all, and we shall continue to meet on the battlefield.
Yes, absolutely. It's great that you shared that. I intentionally left that question off because I was just like, I'm going to bring her back. I was going to bring you back to share more about your manifesto because I know how loaded that is. I intentionally left that question, but I'm glad that you shared that the three things that My Pillow stands for, and I'm going to share that on my page, and just to get more people to know what she represents, what's on the agenda when you vote My Pillow in. It's important that we know that. But also include her in your prayers, and support her in everywhere that you can,
Yes.
especially in this election. My fellow, let us know, people who are Africans in diasporas, how we can be part of what you're doing, so that we can share whatever links within the community. I'm happy to do that within our community. But thank you so much, my sister. And everyone, thank you so much, and have yourself a
Thank
wonderful
you.
rest of the day. Take care then. Bye bye. See you.
Thank you.